So next on, we have a team from Chili Piper. They are going to talk about SDR productivity and how to structure your day and daily tasks. We let everybody in. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey, welcome. Do I have everybody on, or do I need to add anything else? Please let me know.
Yeah, this is it for today. Can everyone see my screen? Is it sharing?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Beautiful.
There we go.
Perfect. Okay, guys, I'll let you be. The floor is yours. I'll be back at the end for the Q&A.
Perfect. Thank you. So hello, we are SDR team leads and SDR managers at Chili Piper. So what we're going to talk about today is how to increase your productivity as an SDR. So for a little context and background, all three of us here speaking today have extensive SDR experience, and we've been managing an SDR team for a bit now as well. So we definitely have tons of experience on SDR productivity, which is absolutely paramount to success as an SDR. I would even say it's the most important thing, but definitely biased since we're doing a presentation on it. So go ahead to the next slide. So before we start, this session is recorded. You can go ahead and ask your questions in the chat box, and please engage. Definitely, I mean, we're salespeople, so we can talk to a brick wall, but we love to talk to people even more. So please talk to us. And so on the agenda is time management, prioritization, and what tools we use for this. And so for a quick poll, which one is the most important to you? Time management, prioritization, or tools? And you can go ahead and put any responses in the chat. I'll give my response also. All right, I said time management. That is my answer.
Nice. All right, so we're seeing a good amount of all three here. Cool. Well, then, for those of you who said time management, you're going to be happy in just a second. So I'm going to talk a bit about the first one, time management as an SDR. So just to start this part off, another quick poll. Do you block out time on your calendar if you are an SDR? And if you're managing SDRs or a sales leader, do you suggest that your SDRs block out time on their calendar for just their own process every day? So again, just answer that in the chat, and then we'll talk a bit more about it. Nice. All right, awesome. So getting a lot of ones, so that's great. Definitely super important as an SDR when there's so much you can be doing all the time to really take ownership over your day so that you can, hit your quota and be as productive as possible without having to work, 12 or 13-hour days to get there. So just to start off, the way we like to think about it is splitting your time into kind of three main blocks. The first one that ideally is at least like 50% of your day is everything that can generate revenue and book meetings today. So this is where you're doing everything you possibly can, following up with prospects that you've already done your research on, already sent maybe initial emails to, making cold calls, like blocking out an hour where you're just calling as many of your prospects as you possibly can, or 2 hours, spending time where you're just on LinkedIn, following up with everyone you can there. And this to me is like the most fun part of being an SDR is like, what can you do to just book a meeting right now? There's so much as an SDR that's setting yourself up to have a fuller pipeline in the long term, and obviously like trainings and internal meetings. But this is really the part where you're just getting super excited to do everything you possibly can to get results today. So I definitely recommend that's at least like 50% of your day is really just like activities that can generate revenue today. Second thing that should also be close to half of your day, maybe a little bit less ideally, is things that are setting yourself up to have a complete pipeline and to just set yourself up for like success and booking meetings tomorrow and in the short term. So that's like research, your initial research of a new account that you're going after, picking the correct prospects, making sure that you're, reaching out to the correct ICP for your company. All of that stuff that's helping fill your pipeline and helping give you those people that you're going to follow up with in the first block. I think this part can be a little bit less exciting. And, I think we've seen a lot of SDRs like struggle with this part of it because it's something you need to do consistently every single day to set yourself up for success. But it's not always something that's going to lead to a meeting today. And it's really easy to get kind of short-sighted and just try to like book as many meetings as you can right now without setting yourself up for future success. So we'll go into in a minute what a calendar might actually look like for doing this. But in theory, these two first blocks should be most of your day. The third thing, growth and setting yourself up for long-term success. So that's internal meetings, maybe one-on-ones with your manager or one-on-ones with someone else on the team who you want to learn from, or, you can help each other learn. Huddles with your team, other internal projects you might be taking on. Ideally, this is an hour or hour and a half of your day on average maximum. I think as an SDR, there's, again, so much you can be doing, and fitting most of your time into the first two blocks of like actually generating revenue and activities that are going to help you book meetings. You should be set up to have that be most of your day. And then obviously the coaching piece and the growth piece is super important as well. So fitting that in where you can. So in order to do this, I think it's really important. And everyone stays organized different ways, but we've seen a lot of people have success with actually blocking out their calendar. In the chat, it's clear that a lot of people are doing that as well. 30, 60, 90-minute windows of whatever you need to do each day. So that's something that can be flexible over time. Like if you're seeing a ton of success cold calling, lean into cold calling more. If that's what's going to work for you versus like the rep that's next to you, lean into that and have your cold calling block be longer, or maybe have two of them. Prep time where you're building your list of who you're going to call or things like that. Having it as structured and repeatable as possible is what's going to set you up for success and like just put you in the right mindset to make sure you're getting where you need to be every day. And then for the most part, while you're doing these like really hyper-focused blocks of time, turn off most other notifications. Don't get distracted by Slack. Obviously, if a prospect responds to an email or gives you a call back, that's first priority, and you need to get back to them as soon as you possibly can. But besides that, really limiting your external interruptions and just staying focused on whatever that block is. So here is a calendar that I stole from one of our previous top performers who has since been promoted off of our team. Miss you, Chris. So this is what his calendar looked like, and literally just scrolled back to when he was an SDR, and this was a week for him. So you can see like other things that come up, like might go over these blocks that you have, but he literally has blocked every single day at 8 a.m. He's prepping his list of who he's following up with. 8:30 to 12, he's following up on LinkedIn and following up with people who have opened his emails a lot. Has lunch blocked off here, make sure you're taking a break, and then has a call blitz here, more LinkedIn messages, and then the researching and the prospecting is 2:45 to 5 at the end of the day. So I know that like within these blocks, he's doing everything he can to make sure he's repeating X amount of activity every day, and just setting himself up for consistency. So if one day this doesn't lead to a meeting, he's doing the exact same thing or even pushing more the next day to make sure that it does. All right. And then second thing we're going to talk about is prioritization. Yeah. Hand it off to Elric.
Yeah. So just to keep going on what Joey was saying. So I think the most important thing in being an SDR and being productive as an SDR is time management. But then inside of your task during the day, you have different ways on you can organize also that. So on the next slide, what we're going to see is the three main topics we're going to talk about. So how you can prioritize your activities. So first your accounts, then your prospects, and then the currencies. So because why we need to think about being effective, being productive with this, it's because we want to focus on what's the easiest prospects that you want to book a meeting with. So that's the first thing, but also it's way easier, for example, let's say to talk to a prospect who already know your company, and that's way more easier than to focus on this prospect than going straight to a cold lead that you have on your CRM, for example. So the first thing we're talking about is the accounts, how you can prioritize your accounts. So I think the first main thing that we are doing here at Chili Pepper, it's checking the closed lost opportunities, the no-shows, and the queued. All the opportunities has been disqualified by the AEs. You can find this information in your CRM, obviously, but why it's the number one is because generally when you are going to read the notes, for example, for the closed lost opportunities, you are going to find, oh, maybe it was not the right timing. For example, with COVID, we have a lot of closed lost opportunities because of COVID. A lot of companies were stopped buying tools last year, for example. So now maybe it's a better time and it's easier for you to reach out to us. Then you have the no-shows, or basically it's reaching out to those prospects who say yes for a meeting at some point, and then now let's try to have them back. And then the disqualified, obviously here I think here it depends on our company. Here we have different rules to say what's qualified and what's not. But sometimes obviously our product, for example, it's evolving, and sometimes an opportunity who has been disqualified a few months before now can be qualified. And so we need to check those to make sure that now we can reach out to those. So for example, for us, our tool can integrate with Salesforce and HubSpot, but a year ago, for example, we didn't have an integration with HubSpot. And what we did when the integration was ready was going back to our reports and check every opportunity, talking about that the reason was they were using HubSpot as a CRM. So that's it. Then the second one is previous customers who join a prospect company. So meaning of that is, let's say, for example, you have Reply as a customer, and then, for example, you have Olivia leaving Reply, going to a new company, and she's a customer. She was a customer, and now she's moving to a new company. What you can do here is reaching out to her and say, hey, you can have a really quick demo with her to talk about your product inside our new company. And generally those are very good. So we are using SysNav for this. On SysNav, we can check the company, the people who left your current customers to find those. Then the third bucket that's really working well, it's finding people inside accounts who are following your company on LinkedIn. So I have some screenshot after I'm going to show you to show you how you can find that on Sales Navigator. But here it's pretty simple. You want to focus on accounts that already know your brand, your company, because it will be easier to start a conversation with them and to book the demo with them. And then I think the rest is here it's for every company will be different, but for us, for example, we have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and it depends on the size of the sales team, if they got recent fundings, if they have, for example, the SDR structure in their sales team, then also the sales cycle length, the website traffic they have, and the tech stack, because obviously, and we want to rank prospects on those criteria. Obviously, a company with all of this, a big sales team, big recent funding, for example, is going to be a tier 1 account. But some other accounts they have a good size of the sales team, but they maybe don't have the SDR structure, so it will be a tier 3 account, for example. Now, we're going to talk about prospects. Okay, so now we are inside your accounts. How you can prioritize your accounts, your prospect inside your accounts, because we are talking about how you can prioritize your list. Now, inside your accounts, you can also prioritize your prospect, because it's the same. Some people already knows your company. Some people already maybe had a demo with you in the past, and will be the easiest one to book a demo with. So the first one, like I said, the one we're involved in, the last close loss opportunity. So maybe same as the accounts, but it will be the first step to do with your prospects, and will be the same with no-shows and disqualifiers. So same here, you will find the information in your CRM. Then the second one, and if it's different if you compare to accounts, it's the reply that you get from those prospects at this account. So here, what you can use, it's your sales engagement platform. So whatever you're using, you can check the history with this account, and you can see the previous replies that maybe they've sent to another SDR at your company, or maybe an AE at another company. So what you can find here, and you can use that in your outreach also. And people who are generally replying also, they're really good at to focus on, because they already maybe know your company. Then same as accounts, people who are following your company on LinkedIn, because here we want to focus on people who already know your company. Then number 4, people who just joined the company or got promoted, because people who just joined the company, generally they are more open to new ideas, and they want to explore new ways on doing their process. And so is someone who is joining the company is really the best moment to focus on, to book a demo with them. And same for someone who got promoted, because now they have new responsibilities and they want to get some new ideas. And
Did Eric freeze? I think Eric froze, which is good because, well, he'll come back. But I was gonna say we have some awesome questions in the chat too.
Yeah.
So I'll address that while his internet comes back.
We can skip to the Q&A real quick, I guess, while Elric comes back.
Yeah. So a few questions based around keeping SDRs motivated. 2 specific to call blocks, and call blocks where you don't have any success or don't reach any decision makers. And then 3, the third one, just about activities in general. So I think a super important thing to stress in your onboarding, and I mean, in your hiring process as well, is like failure is always a huge part of being an SDR. The best SDR is going to fail, get ghosted by prospects, or get no's like 90% of the time. Literally, like the best SDR will have 90% failure most of the time. So I think just like stressing to the team as a whole how important failure is, and like it's an opportunity to learn every day. But also, like, if you make 50 calls, you might get 0 connects one day, and if you make 50 calls the next day, you might get 5 or 6 connections. So ultimately, like, so much of it is just a numbers game, and like being able to stick with it through, you know, what's ultimately going to be a ton of failure. For the activity, I mean, we definitely like to like hype up people on our team who are blowing away activity numbers, get people competitive. We'll do like a one-off competition one month of like whoever makes the most calls will get, you know, a prize, but also just like very much like repeating to our team all the time how important like high activity is to be able to get through that failure. And Elric is back just in time.
I'm back. Yeah, I'm back. Sorry about that. So yeah, so basically what I was talking about is tiering system also for prospects. So on the next slide, we are going to see what we are using at Chili Pepper. So, yeah, here. So because obviously we can focus on the prospects who already know the company or already had an opportunity in the past with us. Then we need to prioritize the titles that we had inside the company. So here we have 5 buckets for us. The main one for us is the marketing team. Then we have the operations team, and then the SDR team or the AE team. And so in green, we have the titles who are really good for us, and that's the title that we want to have the SDR focus on. That's the main priority. Then in yellow, we don't know if this title is good or not. So we still need to figure out if, for example, a demand generation specialist, it's a good title for us. And then we have the red one who want to avoid on the sales team, on the marketing team. So let's say content marketing manager for us, for example, is not a good title. We never book demos with them, and generally they are not the a key decision maker in the conversation we have with them. So like this, it's easier for SDRs to focus on what's a good title or what's not, and then know really quickly if, for example, they are wondering if a prospect is a good prospect or not. And now, yeah, just to show you real quick. So I was talking about how you can find someone who just changed or joined the company, got promoted or just joined the company. So here on Spotlights on SalesNav, you can select change jobs in the past 90 days, and you can have the list. Then on this other slide, you can use the leads who are following your company. So we have Will who is following Chili Pepper, for example. And then
that list should get a lot bigger.
What?
I said that list should get a lot longer after this.
Yeah, we need to work on this. And okay, and yeah, just to finish on this, how you can prioritize. Same with accounts, same with prospect. Now with your currency sequences. So it's focusing on outbound for now. So it's close loss first, then no shows, and then your regular currencies. So we have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 currencies, depending on your personas. Then we are finishing with the tools. So now the first tool that we are going to show you is Magical Text Expander. So it's a Chrome extension that we found a year ago, something like that. And that's something we are using for LinkedIn Sales Navigator to look for prospects inside Sales Navigator. So instead of copy pasting or typing the keywords that we're looking for, we're just putting, let's say for me, for example, I'm using TT1. So for tier prospect 1, and I'm just typing this. And then on the next slide, we're going to see the results. And here you put that on the title field, and then you can have your list. And so it's, for a lot of people on the team, it saves a lot of time, a lot of minutes. That's precious for SDRs during their day. So that's the first one. Then the second tool we are using here, it's more about the sales engagement platform we're using. Inside of this tool, we can use snippets and templates. And the goal with this is for every objection we get, for example, that timing, not interested, using your competitor, we have already a template for this. And for the SDR, don't need to think about this. It just need to use the template for the correct objection. Then when we book a meeting, for example, we need to ask some qualifying questions. We have a template for this. Then same for the handoff between the SDR team and the AE team. We have a template for this. We don't need to think about it. We just use it, and it's easier for them. Then also, we are using snippets for sending content, and also, let's say for celebrate, for example, someone who just get a new job or get a promotion. So then I'm going to show you how it looks like on our side. So here, that's the templates we're using, for example. So we have the template for handoff SDR to AE. Then we can track the results. We can see if people are obviously replying to this. Then we have, for example, the objection unsubscribe that we are getting a lot. We can see the result, 18 cents and 44.4 replies rate, for example. So for the SDR team, it's pretty important to use this because it saves a lot of time on their day-to-day. Then on the next one, it's snippets. If you compare to templates, the main difference is snippets. You can insert a small part in your email that you already write, for example. And for example, if you're sending your regular cadence, you can use, and you saw that this person got promoted, you can include that in your email. You don't need to type that again, because if you are reaching out to a lot of people who just got promoted, you can type this again and again. So the idea is to save you time again here. So, and then now we are going to talk about spreadsheets.
Yeah. So obviously, ideally, being able to track all your data and activity is automated through your sales engagement platform and CRM. And also, Ryan, to answer your question, that's through SalesLoft that we use that. But for things that are more manual, obviously, like there are spreadsheets that come into play. And I think the biggest thing that we've used spreadsheets for and is really important to, like, for SDRs to self track and keep themselves accountable is like how many accounts they're researching and adding into cadences every day. So using, this is an example of like one that a lot of people on our team use, but using something that works for you to make sure you're tracking the activities that you want to track every single day and to make sure you're progressing. So, if you get 60% to quota 1 month and you can look back at this spreadsheet at the number of activities you were doing and the average number of accounts you added each day, things like that, you can kind of self-regulate that and say, okay, I got 60% to quota, so I need to increase this by 50%, whatever, to get up to 100% of quota. So yeah, a couple different like examples of ways people are tracking that. There's another one you can see like month by month of how many meetings they book, activities, and then being able to kind of like backtrack from quota to what they need to do every single day to get there. Cool.
And which leaves us with Q&A. So I wanted to touch on a question that we got that Joey kind of talked about earlier, but that we got a lot, which is the age-old question of how do you keep SDRs motivated to do their activities? And also I really encourage, if anyone has any tips for this, please drop them in the chat, because I think it's something that SDR leaders and SDRs will forever be working on. But I do want to say that I think the best way to keep SDRs motivated is to empower them to do more than their activities and to do more than just outbounding. I think when you have SDRs that are invested in the outcome of the business as a whole and that are invested in the business as a whole and that see growth opportunities, that will heavily impact their motivation. What other questions did we have? Also saw how to keep SDRs motivated after a bad call blitz, which I know Joey touched on also. And I guess same thing again, which is ultimately it's about consistency. So you need to have, maybe 4 or 5 bad call blitzes till you have one successful one. Ultimately, SDRing is very much about staying consistent and being able to get through those bad times and stay motivated. Having a look at that calendar example, it looked very. Do you recommend adding alternative activities to break up the slog of a sales role? So not sure what you mean by alternative activities. Do you mean like within sales still, or like completely? Like I have a workout block every day without fail. I will go run my anxiety away. So definitely recommend that if you like running or something. But Elric or Joey, do you have anything to say to that?
So yeah, instead of having a block, for example, of 3 hours of prospecting, we'll separate those 3 hours in 1 hour of sending personalized emails during the first hour. Then the second hour will be more my regular cadences, or it's more automated. And then the third one will be LinkedIn outreach, for example, instead of just having a long block of 3 hours.
I also had a question about just maybe my own. I'm not sure if we didn't like exactly cover this, but are there any productivity tools specifically that you guys can recommend to SDR teams?
Elric, go ahead.
Okay, so yes, we have one. GIFs. GIFs, it's a tool that we found in January, February, something like that. I don't remember which ones, but it's a tool to help us record the screen of our computer. But basically, what it helps us is create personalized GIFs, and that's something we're using in our cadences, and that costs I think like $15, and it's really cheap for the results on that we're getting, because I think when we started to use it, just a week after, we booked like 5 or 6 meetings between 2 reps. So it was really a no-brainer for this tool.
Could you put the name in the comments, please, and in the general chat so that everybody
sure.
else can also see? Thank you. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thank you guys, by the way, for a great presentation, for covering all the important aspects when it comes to productivity, time management, prioritization, a lot of practical recommendations that we can use right away. Thank you also for being very self-sufficient, taking care of the questions. So that really helped me a lot, did my job in part. So we were very excited to have you with us. Thank you for your time, and let's stay in touch.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you for having us.